Wait. What's this I see? A disc hooked to the tractor? Are the Griggs really gonna do some plowing? Yes we are. We get out to the field, I'll explain a little more. Oh, we got a big rig about to pull in here next to me and plant some corn with a high of about 50 degrees a day with a wind of 20-25 miles an hour and a low of about 33 degrees a night. I don't believe that's something I feel real comfortable doing, but I know this guy's got a lot more acres to get across than I do, and guess you gotta get started sometime. I just don't think I would have done it today. And man, that's a mighty big rig right there. Looks like it's a 24 row 30-inch planter. All right, so what are we doing today? What we got here is an old pasture farm that we've been working for 2 years. Before we started working it, we did a bunch of bulldozer and track hoe work trying to smooth this farm out, make some bigger fields. Say big brush pile way down at that end. There was 3 terraces through here that we knocked down, and overall it's done good. But where we did that fresh dirt work 2 years ago, it's kind of washboarded along where the terraces were. So we're going to start out by smoothing up those washboards, and I'm not quite as concerned about erosion this time, you know, plowing this ground back up as I was then, because right now we've got real good cover crop on the ground with a lot of roots in the ground, and even though we're plowing it up, that stuff's going to mix in with the ground and should keep this stuff should keep this soil from eroding real bad. At least that's what I'm hoping anyway. Now if we get a 3-4 inch gully washer in a short amount of time, all bets are off. Yeah, it's probably going to wash, but some of this stuff is real rough to drive over, hard on our equipment, so we're going to try smooth it out a little bit here. Well, apparently we didn't work on this thing long enough. Nothing major to see here. Just 2 broke bolts holding wheel on. Always some of this old equipment. Well, after we got the tire fixed, we had a pretty productive day. We got about 1 more day before 2 to 3 days of severe weather in a really big storm system comes through. So we're gonna get after it hard tomorrow. I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing greased and and ready for what's hopefully going to be a long day tomorrow. Alright, what we got here, I know you can't see it very good in the video, but right along through there is it's a fairly steep hill, and got a lot of that in there. Like I said, this used to be an old cattle farm until I put my first crop on here 2 years ago. I can't remember a crop being on here in my lifetime. There were some broken filled in terraces and stuff that we knocked down, cattle trails everywhere, and we did what we could with a dozer. But this farm is really rough going across, and just a lot of areas like that. And then right through there along that hillside. And what I'm gonna try to do is take this disc, and you know, a disc is a great leveling tool, and I'm going to try and smooth out some of these ridges to make it more of a gradual instead of coming here and then down and then back up again and stuff. So that's what I'm going to try to do, but don't know how long we're going to get in today. So it looks like there's raining there. You got some sprinkles on the windshield. Now, in order to get this good and level, because we got such thick cover crop on here, we're going to have to cut this multiple times from as many directions as we can to try and cut it up real good, and then also get that disc to throw the dirt around and level out level out some of these places. Because this farm has been a cattle farm for ages, it's a very productive farm. This is the first time a plow has been on this farm, and Lord knows when. And I'm really hating plowing up some of this because it's got great soil structure, got a lot of stuff built up in the soil, a lot of organic matter, but after working this thing for 2 years, it is just way too rough on my equipment. And you know, we're going to try and get it fixed good, get it fixed right this time, and then hopefully this will be the last time a plow will ever have to come back in this field. You know, as a general rule, I don't like doing tillage because it works against what we're trying to build up in the soils, but sometimes you just got to pull the plow out and correct a few problems, even if you're backtracking on some progress you made, and might be you know, contributing towards some other problems like compaction. I know last year in this field in particular, we had double crop soybeans on here, and my header height was just constantly hunting. I was slowing down to give the header time to adjust, to go off some of these drop offs and everything, and you know, spraying this field, it's just really tough on the equipment, and that kind of stuff will wind up costing you money when the equipment repairs and equipment wear. I know some of y'all probably think on the video, hey, that don't look too bad. I got hills way steeper than that. Well, let me promise you that the video does not do these hills justice. It never does. Heck, I know when we go ride in the mountains and I record some looking back thinking, well, that hill don't look too bad, when in reality it can be straight up and down, and on camera it just looks like a gentle slope. Cameras can be deceiving.
out here on another typical dreary Tennessee April morning. I got fertilizer finished up the other night, and Matt got all of the dirt pan work done, so now we are breaking out the disc and do-all on our trouble spots just to try to even out where the dirt pan is run or where we have filled in with the dirt pan, just to smooth it on over, finish it up a little bit better than what the dirt pan did. So what we're out doing this morning, we've got rain in the forecast today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, and possibility, strong possibility of tornadoes Wednesday. So we are trying to get as much done as possible before the rain hits us actively.
All right, that's kind of what we're looking for here. You know, we still got a real good slope, but now it's a nice gentle slope with not a bunch of dips and everything. So this is going to be a lot nicer to go over. Won't bounce our equipment near as much. We got a nice fine powder here that's going to be real good for the do-all to go across, and that's what Zach's doing now. He's behind me somewhere over there on something else. I've already just running the do-all across all this ground. And what a do-all is it's a finishing implement that will help chop the soil up some more and drag harrows across it, and kind of seals the ground off and gives you a really nice smooth finished seed bed that you're ready to plant into. But one of the big advantages to it while we're using it is that on the very back it's got a set of drag boards on it that drag behind the do-all, and it can catch any piles and drag dirt off those piles and into low spots. So it ought to help to further serve to level this ground out. I sure wish I had a land plane. That would really be the cat's meow on getting this leveled out as smooth as possible. But unfortunately, the one that I used a few years ago was owned by a local farmer who is since retired, and all of his equipment has been sold off. Kind of wish I'd bid on that thing and snatched it up. It ain't real often that you need one, but when you do need one, there's not another tool out there that will slick off a surface just like a land plane will. Man, I sure wish y'all could smell what I'm smelling. There just ain't nothing like the smell of fresh plowed ground. And it's something that I don't get to experience very much anymore, but when I was a kid, man, there wasn't anything I liked better than plowing some ground in the springtime. I look forward to it every year. Of course, back then we didn't have near as nice equipment. I was usually on an open station tractor with the dust blowing in my face, and now the elements, the rain, the heat, and the cold. But I was a kid, I didn't care. I just happened to be out on the tractor driving. But here's a fun fact for you. That smell of freshly plowed ground, I know you know what I'm talking about. It's actually caused by a bacteria in the soil called actinomyces, and that's what you're actually smelling there. Well, Zach just about got caught up to me with the do-all. This little stretch right over there took me quite a while. I had to make a bunch of passes on it trying to level it out. Alright, while I was plowing this ground, I noticed something might help show you exactly why we do what we do on soil health. You might think that's kind of funny. You're plowing up the ground, you gonna talk to us about soil health? Yeah, I am, just because I noticed some differences here. Alright, looking straight ahead, can you see kind of a line right there where this over here is a lot darker than this over here in the soil color? The reason for that is right here, when we took over this farm 2 years ago, there was a small terrace, and we came in here with a dozer and pushed it off and tried to smooth it out and level it. This soil right here has been disturbed, whereas this soil right here has It hadn't been disturbed in my lifetime, I know. At some point it has, but I'm 42 years old and I'm pretty sure this soil has not been disturbed in my lifetime. It's had cattle run on it up until 2 years ago, and then we've no-tilled 3 crops into here. But just look at how dark that soil is. Look at the soil structure. See how nice and crumbly. See, there's an earthworm right there. There's another earthworm. Look at all those roots in the ground. All these roots are putting carbon into the ground that's taken in from the top part of the plant. And then looking over here, you know, you just don't see the soil structure. See how it's kind of compacted in there? It's not real crumbly. It's just, you know, it's dirt. You know, even though we've no-tilled it and had cover crops on it, you know, this is what you'll see in a lot of conventionally tilled soils. Actually, it'll be a lot worse because this has only been disturbed once, whereas conventionally tilled soils have been disturbed a lot more. See, I mean, there's a visible difference here. Watch how easy this clod just comes apart, just kind of crumbles in your hand. That's good soil structure right there, and that's what we're trying to achieve on all of our farms. Here's a very good example of what organic matter does. You can see up here at the top, it's set like this right here. This was towards the top of the soil, and this is deeper down. You can kind of see that line right there. It's a lot darker on top than it is down here. All this darkness that you're seeing is organic matter that's been put back into the soil. Now, unfortunately, because we're plowing this ground, it introduces a lot more oxygen into the soil, and the microbial populations are going to really boost up here real soon. And what's that going to do is all this darkness that you see in the soil, organic matter, a lot of this organic matter is going to be burnt off as carbon dioxide, and it's going to go back into the atmosphere, and it's going to help to promote global warming. So this is why what we do with cover crops, to get all this carbon out of the atmosphere, all this excess carbon, and put it back down into the soil to where it can make these soils more productive. You know, each % of organic matter that we can increase in our soils will increase our water holding capacity about 1 inch of rainfall. So, you know, most no-till soils here in West Tennessee average about 2% organic matter. A lot of my soils, since we've been cover cropping, are now getting close to 3% organic matter. So, you know, theoretically, we can store about an extra inch of rain in our soils, and you get in the heat of the summer, you know, that's a half a week to a week more of moisture that we got in the soil, and that we can hold off on before we get a critically needed rain. And, you know, this basic reason right here, that's why we are against tillage. Yes, I know tillage is needed from time to time in very limited circumstances like what we're seeing right here, but hopefully we're going to get this farm fixed right this time, and we won't ever have to bring a plow over here again to smooth the farm up. Well, the rain has arrived early. We're not going to make it through this one. Head into the shop. Got a wheel bearing on this thing we need to replace. Dang it, I was really hoping to get all of today in, but it's just not to be. It'll probably be Friday or Saturday before we're able to get back in the fields again with the kind of rainfall they're predicting. It's supposed to be a lot worse than this, and man, that's some ugly looking storm coming our way. Throw a little mud on the road. I don't think it's rained too much. Sun comes out, wind comes out. I think we'll be able to get back out in the fields in about an hour. Welcome back. I ain't seen you in a while. The big bright thing in the sky. We're now on our 8th consecutive day of not being in the field due to rain. It's rained, I think, 5 out of the last 8 days, just round after round after round of storms. So hey, we've been busy in the meantime. We finally got that ready to go. Thought we had it ready to go and went to do some health assessments on it in the monitor and found out our Delta Force wasn't working. Took us a couple days of diagnosing, found out a solenoid had gone bad. Typical problems with electrical stuff. And then we also found out when we were testing out all the tractor hydraulics on the planter, because we got to use every remote on the planter, found out that there was 2 remotes that were not acting right. They would go straight into float rather than providing hydraulic flow. Another day of diagnosing it, found out that the remote levers needed to be recalibrated. Fairly simple procedure, but luckily nothing was actually broke, just needed recalibrating. All that money I spent on that New Holland EST program last year to be able to hook up my laptop to the tractor paid off dividends. Probably saved us at least a $500 service call. Also finally got some augers in for the grain buggy over there. We'll put those in next rainy day probably. And oh yeah, working on this blasted thing again. We went to go service it, found out this gang right here was loose on the displays. It wasn't tight like it's supposed to be. Found out this hub was broken. That presses up against the disc and allowed mud and stuff to get in behind there. Also got some bearings that don't feel so great, so we're totally rebuilding this gang too. So now we've had a day of dry weather. By the time we get this done, we'll have a day and a half of dry weather. So hopefully, as soon as we get this fixed this morning, then we'll be able to go to the field and finish up our dirt work. Keep your fingers crossed. All right, finally got our piece of junk disc fixed and made it to our first field, my yard. If you've been following us, you know this last winter that this massive oak tree fell down during an ice storm and we totally ruined my yard trying to get it cleaned up and out. We hauled and towed all of it over there in the woods, and then so all of this was ruined. So before this disc breaks down again, I want to at least get my yard fixed. That way I got a nice smooth yard to mow. There are some benefits to being a farmer and having big equipment, especially when it comes to yard work. Well, there we go. Let it air out this afternoon, bring the dew all in this evening, and she ought to be all slicked up. Nothing like a little Tuesday afternoon yard work. All right, here we are on the same farm where we got rained out, what was it, 8 days ago? Yeah, the Monday before last. And total, we've gotten well over 4 inches of rain in those 5 days. We got a lot of heavy rainfall, and I was concerned about erosion, but just to go back to soil health, this right here is the worst erosion that I've seen, and you got a lot of water coming off hillsides here that kind of gets funneled down through here. And you can see we got a little bit of erosion right here, but because we had such good soil structure and all these cover crops and the pasture and the other crops have put so much what I call glue into the soil that helps build soil health. This soil is really held together real well, even after some pretty severe tillage on it. Now, if we were to keep on plowing this year after year after year, I would expect a pretty good sized gully to be working its way down through here, because all the soil structure has been destroyed. But hopefully just this one tillage pass, get it smoothed up, and then the soil can stabilize again and start healing itself quickly, and hopefully this will stay pretty smooth. Now, worst case scenario, maybe back next spring I might have to come in and fill in a little bit of a wash there, and hopefully not have to do any tillage on it, just kind of fill it in, and it'll stabilize. So, but this just goes to show you that with all the roots that were in the ground when we plowed it up, the soil structure we built, all the stuff we put into the soil, it really helps hold the soil together to really minimize erosion when we get these severe pounding springtime rains. And that's one of the big reasons why we do what we do. All right, trying to get some more plowing done. It ain't muddy out here. Yeah, I'm about to get there. I'm about to start getting frustrated. It is now April 20th and we have not put a seed in the ground. This is the latest that we have ever started planting, and I mean, we're still a couple days away from planting. We got another 80% chance of rain for tonight. Then it's finally supposed to get sunny and hot, like around 85 degrees for a few days, and then about another 4 days got another chance of rain. And if I was all strictly no-till on my corn ground, I was like, well, we'd probably get started probably a couple days after the rain, because the ground to hold us up. But all of our fields where we got corn, we've got some form of tillage on in spots in the field, and that's where you seen the mud on my tractor, where it come from, where I got right in the edge of where I'd previously plowed and got rained on, and it is nothing but gummy mud up underneath that. So that's going to take at least another day or two's worth of drying out after the regular no-till with cover crops would take to dry out before we start planting. So I don't know when we're going to get planting. A few years ago, I probably would have already checked into an insane asylum, but I've learned a lot of patience as far as planting over the last couple of years, and I've seen that we can still make a dang good crop even with late planting. But even still, we got to get started at some point this year, and it's not too far from May, and we haven't even put any corn seeds in the ground. If this weather don't straighten out in a hurry, there's going to be a lot of farmers in tight spots here in West Tennessee. We just got too many acres to cover and not enough time to cover them in. Dylan Joyce and I was talking last night, and I think he come up with a dang good plan for this year. We'll just file preventative planting crop insurance on all our crops, not plant anything, and spend all summer at the lake. That's some outside the box thinking, and with what we're seeing right now, I'm kind of thinking that might not be a very bad plan. Boy, these cover crops have really put on a lot of growth in the last week. We're having to make several more cuts across the field to get all of this tilled in pretty good to where we got a nice smooth seed bed. I forgot how much bouncing you do when you plow the ground. Back when I was in my teens and we were plowing all the ground, my back could take it real good. It ain't as easy on the body now as it was back then. How far away is the rain?
I wouldn't cut any more than what we got right now. Make storms starting to cross the river. We're catching the outskirts now. Heavy stuff looks like it'll be here in about an hour and 15.
So we got a big line of stuff crossing the river right now.
Yep. Big line, heavier stuff looks right in our area. Line stretching from St. Louis all the way down to Jackson, Mississippi.
All right, I reckon I'll go over here and I'll try and keep the spot small. Oh, this weather just will not straighten out. At the very least, we were supposed to have gotten all of today in, and now that ain't happening. It's 3 o'clock now. Zach says it'll be here by 4 o'clock. At this rate, we are not going to get any crops planted this year, other than the wheat that is growing right now. Y'all remember how I just about lost it when had a piss poor cotton crop coming up last year? Yeah, y'all might be seeing a repeat of that if this daggum weather don't straighten up real quick. But on the flip side of things, I ain't the only person in this boat right now. Every other farmer in West Tennessee is dealing with the exact same dang thing. As of this moment, we've got fantastically high commodity prices. We've got absolutely record inputs. But every day that we're getting delayed planting is a potential drop in yield potential that we'll never be able to get back this year. And there ain't a daggum thing we can do about it. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed this video of us plowing the ground. And you better bookmark it, because hopefully this will be the first and the only video of us ever plowing the ground. Because hopefully after this year, all of our fields are in good shape and won't never need plowing again. Might be a pipe dream, but that's what I'm hoping for. Well guys, since we're about to get rained out, I reckon I'll go ahead and call this a video. I know y'all getting tired of seeing the shop work, the field prep work, everything else. I know y'all ready to see us put some seed in the ground, and believe you me, I'm just as ready to put some seed in the ground as y'all are ready to see it. So the next video will be us planting. You might have to wait a couple of months right now to see that video, but the next video will be us planting at some point. We might be celebrating 4th of July. We're gonna get something put in the ground at some point this year.